enforcement, the TSA, air traffic controllers, power grid maintenance, Border Patrol, CDC, Medicaid, Social Security checks, Medicare checks, Amtrak, veterans hospitals, thank God, EPA, federal courts. If that's a shutdown, I'm unattractive. You can take that either way. Anyway, Trump was like, whatever, I'll be over here watching Fox and Friends in my tidy whities. And Schumer's like, crap, what did I get myself into? It's like when you start eating an entire chocolate chip cookie cake by yourself and didn't think it through. And now you're alone, half naked, crying in a closet covered in crumbs and whipped cream. That's Schumer. As Trump bolted to Davos. Now, if you don't know what Davos is, take one parka and add a jerk. Multiply by 3,000. I was going to go, but I wanted in Switzerland for a crime involving a mountain hare. Some plan to protest. But why? Jealous, maybe? They're world leaders and billionaires. Trump's both. That's gotta hurt. Also, in America, you can't swing a Prius without hitting another bonus delivered to workers by their companies. He's winning. Yet even mountains hate Trump. Look at that. Look at this Swiss cliff. Shut up, you stupid pile of dirt. What have you invented? The Echo? Here's Trump telling Davos what's what.
People are very happy with what we've done, not only on the tax bill, but also cutting of regulations. And I think also being a cheerleader for our country. You know, if you're not a cheerleader for your company or for your country, no matter what happens, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, he's right about that tax bill. The narrative that it put the rich before the middle class is now dead, as Home Depot, Chrysler, Apple, and now even Starbucks shovel millions back to their workers. The windfall to companies is now windfall to workers. So how does that work? Well, it's the awesome offspring of peer pressure and trickle-down economics. No business wants to be on the wrong side of this, and it's contagious. The Democrats, they can't admit it, which makes them deniers. Winning desires. Now, the media portrays Trump as the weakest president to ever face the EU. But boy, does he stand out. Trump is the bull in the EU china shop, and that's a strength. In every room that he enters, the sphincters become tighter than OJ's gloves. Thank you. Now, about Trump wanting to fire Mueller, the media can barely control itself.
A bombshell report. President Trump trying to have special counsel Robert Mueller fired.
President Trump ordered for special counsel Robert Mueller to be fired.
The president tried to fire him.
He ordered the firing of special counsel Robert Mueller.
The president trying to fire the special counsel is no longer a hypothetical.
So what? And I hate to swear, but I'm sorry. The press is acting like they stumbled onto a frozen woolly mammoth with Amelia Earhart in its mouth. How is this a scoop? Trump says he wants to fire someone? Wasn't that his calling card in his TV career? You're fired? He would fire God if he could. Trump talking about firing is like Snoop Dogg talking about pot. Sorry, Tyrus. And you expect this guy, a brash businessman from Queens, to sit back and do nothing? He's a human being pissed off that he's being jerked around in public. The media knows this, too. They set the cheese in the mousetrap, and Trump can't resist that cheese. That's how collusion leads to obstruction. And yet the media mocks the FBI story, full of missing texts now suddenly found. Did you notice? When it's Russia, the media and the Democrats sell it together. When it's the FBI, it's the media and the Dems mocking it. It's always 2 against 1. I'd call that bias, but what do I know? I hit my head on Monday, and I keep thinking about pancakes.
National Pancake Day. A day for flipping flapjacks everywhere. You can flip flapjacks in Wichita Falls, Kansas. The power of pancake flipping, National Pancake Day. It's a real thing. You have a little bit of time to practice your flip. But in the meantime, if you want to warm up, you can watch special counsel Robert Mueller, who looks like he may be about to flip a new cooperating witness.
All of that set up for that payoff. Please kill me. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's got a nose for pros and he wears cool clothes. Author of Up in the Air and columnist at Harper's Magazine, Walter Kern. She cuts through more bull than a Texas butcher. Reporter for Fox News Headlines 24/7, Carly Shimkus. She only counts using negative numbers. National Review reporter Kat Tipp. And the Earth does push-ups against him. Former bodyguard, massive sidekick Tyrus. All right. Mr. Kern, let's go to the most recent news with this breaking news. It's breaking news that Trump was considering firing Robert Mueller.
First of all, it's breaking news about something that happened in June. Actually, it's not. It's about something that didn't happen in June.
Yes.
So the media, in an attempt to keep the Russia collusion addicts on methadone out there, has to deliver these stories every week or so. And this is the weirdest one because it's about an alternative universe. It's sort of like, you know, what if JFK had brought Marilyn Monroe into the White House and married her? What if Hitler had, you know, gotten a nuke before we had? What if Trump had fired Mueller? And if you read the story, it's 4 people with knowledge of the matter, it says. That means they weren't actually there. They know somebody who was. And the reason there are 4 was because 2 wouldn't be enough.
Yes.
So say he heard it from somebody who heard it from somebody, then the Times would need 7 people.
Yes.
It's a new kind of news that I haven't wrapped my head around yet.
No, it's so interesting because we were talking about this on the 5 about, like, is he going to fire him or not? It was like everybody, we knew he was talking about it, and sure, he said he wasn't, but he was obviously fibbing. But that's what we accept about Trump, is that sometimes he tells little white lies, but they're not big white lies. They're like little white lies. I don't know what you call those. Anyway, Carly, thoughts on this week? You can talk about Davos. You could talk about Mueller. You could talk about the fact that I hit my head.
I didn't know you hit your head.
Yeah, I had a concussion. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, walked
You're
into a door.
back?
Yeah. But I'm here because I'm a warrior.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
You got to watch out for that CTE. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is true.
Well, to talk about Mueller, I agree with something that you said in the monologue, is that it sounds like something that, sure, he may have said. He may have said in passing, yeah, man, you know, he's after me. I want to fire that guy.
Yeah.
But the big point is that he didn't do it.
Yes.
So there's really no story. End of discussion. He didn't do it. So I don't know why everybody's really up in arms over this thing. And we were talking about this over the summer, right?
Yeah.
There was a report that said that he was thinking about firing him, and now it's all of a sudden new news again when he's over in Davos. He did a great job today. And then suddenly this is a part of the news cycle again, and we wonder why.
Do you know that? So that was a way to steer the news away from the good news. Kat, you can make your own adventure in this segment. You can speak about Davos or Mueller or anything you want.
Anything I want.
Yes.
I shouldn't. About Mueller, I guess I would guess that I think it's a bigger deal than you do, Greg. However, again, he didn't actually do it.
Yes.
And any good therapist would tell you that the way to happiness is you're supposed to live in the present. And I think that we should all try to live in the present. I think it would be really bad if he did actually fire him, which is probably why he didn't actually do it.
You know what's funny, though? Your advice about living in the present is the only way that, like, I was so critical of Trump, but I had, when he was elected, I chose to live in the present. I had to stop being like, oh my God, this guy's crazy or this guy is impulsive. And I thought, you know what? Live by his actions and not by his words, and live in the present. And it's actually turning out really great, not just for him, but for me. I feel, Tyrus, I feel less crazy now that I live in the present.
Well, speaking of that, as a badge-wearing procrastinator, I couldn't be more happy with media saying if you say you're going to do something, it counts the same as doing something.
Yes.
Because I don't change the light bulb, I fixed the car, I was more respectful in my relationship, I didn't use bad language on the freeway. I haven't done those things yet, but it counts.
They do.
Right? I mean, I'm just saying, he was about to fire.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's hilarious that he was about to fire him.
Yeah.
Okay? Then what happened?
His
Then
lawyer
he changed
stopped
his
him.
mind. Changed his mind. Then what happened? Well, I mean, that's it. He didn't do it.
How do you talk about
But he
that?
thought about doing it.
How do you talk about that all day long?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I don't understand.
Yeah.
He was going to fire him, then he didn't. What more do you add?
I know. Exactly. Well, they will say, well, he lied about it, but it's like, yes!
Yeah.
He's still president. All right, you got to go. Our next block. You are going to love our next block. Joe Scarborough released a song. He either released a song or he farted. I can't tell. It's a steel cage of outrage. Another week, another batch of media scraping the barrel and new ways to bash Trump. MSNBC's take on the president's Davos trip. Too many white guys.
We should point out one other thing. The chairpeople of Davos this year there are 7. I believe all of them are women. When I look at President Trump right there, I mentioned Klaus Schwab is with him, Jared Kushner, Gary Cohn, Rex Tillerson. He's flanked almost entirely, well, there's one, by white guys.
I hate white guys. Ew. They've done nothing. Meanwhile, CNN refused to give Trump credit for the booming economy because it's all Obama's doing.
Obviously, if Hillary Clinton had continued some of the economic policies that President Obama had put in place, President Obama was seeing economic gains that are on the same level as President Trump during this last year in terms of job growth and so on.
I don't know about that. Oh, we should have just skipped over that stuff, because the best week's performance goes to Joe Scarborough. He crooned, but no one swooned, debuting a new song over a montage of clips from the Women's March. It's called Stand, which is ironic because you're going to want to lie down and puke.
Once in your life, you may get the chance to stand against a column of tanks.
What this president is doing is just so wrong.
Holding up your hand.
Yeah, call him a tanks? You're so stupid. All right. Now, just to be sure I wasn't being too hard on Joe, I played his song for a baby.
Words like deep within your heart that change the outcome of a day.
Then I played it for my neighbor Doris.
We go to break with some of the powerful images from over the weekend.
Once in your life.
Then I played it for my entire neighborhood.
Words like deep within your heart.
You know, this would never happen if someone would just be honest with poor Joe and tell him that a midlife crisis is not a good look. Luckily, there's a drug for that.
It could happen to anyone. Your friend creates something awful.
You may get the chance to stand.
You want them to stop, but you take the more socially acceptable route and applaud their efforts. You may be suffering from preference falsification.
Got a hashtag resist, oh yeah. Hashtag resist.
I just tell him these songs are great, but the whole time I'm hating every effing second of it.
Well, now you don't have to, thanks to Friendelica. Friendelica is a simple patch that makes you incapable of BS, so you can stop your friends from embarrassing themselves.
Dude, your music sucks, and it always has.
Thanks, Friendelica.
And Friendelica works in all types of situations, even at work.
Before, I used to let my coworkers get away with all kinds of dumb things.
Hey, Kat, how was your weekend?
You look like a d in that hat, Gary. Thanks, Friendelica.
Friendelica, it brings out the straight shooter in all of us. Side effects may include less embarrassing behavior and getting better at life.
Very good, very good. Carly? You got to have somebody in your life who can take you aside and tell you that whatever you're doing is stupid. clearly he doesn't have that.
You know what? First of all, I have to say, I think Trump has taken a heavy dose of Frandelica, because he's like the only person in the world that calls it like he sees it at every moment of the day. Mika, I saw a tweet that Mika sent out. She called the song, I think she said it was the song of our generation.
Yes, that's what she said.
So, I mean, winning points at home.
Yeah.
But here's what really annoys me about this whole thing is that song wasn't about the women who marched. That was a Joe Scarborough moment.
Yes, true.
And that was all about Joe. If they really wanted to do this montage with, you know, honoring the women who marched, maybe pick a woman who did that and have her sing about her, you know, the reason why she did all these things. That had nothing to do with anything that the Women's March had to do with. It was all about Joe.
It's all about Joe trying to be the progressive woke dude at the age of 50.
Not wearing socks.
Yes, not wearing socks. Tyrus, you look like whenever that song's being played that something is.
I just want to just reach through and just touch that. I mean, damn, bro. Like, obviously his wife hates him, and she hates him a lot. And I've been in some relationships where they didn't like me so much, and they would say things like, "Great, yeah, that medium tank top looks great on you, honey. Go out there and show them what you got." And it didn't, because she didn't like me. But I'm happy now. The fact in this, forget the song, which was god awful, and the exploitation of women by a guy who's like, you check any YouTube, he's one of the most sexist, rude, demoralizing to women guys there is. He's always talking trash or whatever. Waiting for his song was probably the sickest, best thing I've ever seen in my life. Because they always interrupt each other. If you've ever sat through that show, they over-talk each other non-stop. She's doing the intro, and he's like this. And then he does the... Like, someone just needs to be... Bro,
it was his moment.
Yes.
It was his moment.
Damn, man, just...
Yeah.
Stop.
Kat, were you moved?
So I did not go to the march. I am a woman, so this was like half for me. Yeah. This was like half for me, and I would say, number one, no thank you. And number two, actually kind of thank you, because now I'm not the person who embarrassed themselves the worst last week. But if I were his wife, and I found out that the reason he wasn't spending time with me or paying attention to me was to make that I would be so pissed off.
Well, you have to, it's like he left his wife for Mika, correct? Am I right? I don't know the whole story.
You probably should send him back with the lyrics to that song.
Yeah, he's thinking globally, not locally. What's your take on this?
I didn't see a picture of him singing it, but I could feel that he had his glasses on while he was doing it. And I could see his hair the whole time, and it sickened me in a weird way. I mean, it's male menopause at its very worst. You know?
You know what's amazing is that I really believe that Trump is turning a lot of people in the media into thinking they're the central character of David Bowie's Heroes. You know, like, you know, up against the wall, bullets flying over our heads.
I wrote that when I went to the Republican convention and I saw Trump speak. I immediately knew he was going to win. And one of the reasons I knew is that he makes everybody else feel like a star.
Yeah.
You know, when they talk about him, they suddenly have a self-righteousness and a purpose. And they're addicted to the guy. I mean, they can't quit him.
Yeah.
Live from America's News Headquarters, I'm Robert Gray. Casino mogul Steve Wynn is stepping down as finance chairman of the Republican National Committee. That follows a bombshell report by the Wall Street Journal detailing allegations of sexual harassment and assault. Several women say they were harassed or assaulted by the chairman and CEO of Wynn Resorts. He denies any wrongdoing. Wynn has donated more than $2 million to Republican candidates and organizations since 2013. And Hillary Clinton responding to a report that she refused to fire an advisor accused of sexual misconduct. The New York Times reporting that a woman made the accusations against faith advisor Bernd Strider during the 2008 presidential campaign. Staffers reportedly urged Clinton to fire Strider, but instead the woman was reassigned to another job. Clinton tweeted that she was heartened the young woman came forward and was heard. Now back to the Greg Gutfeld Show.
The well could run dry if they don't comply. This week, the Department of Justice sent letters to 23 sanctuary cities and states demanding they provide evidence they're cooperating with federal immigration agents. If the cities refuse, the DOJ may cut off certain federal funding. The list includes New York City, never heard of it, Chicago, and the entire states of California and Oregon. Boo. The DOJ says cities have an obligation to notify immigration enforcement when an undocumented person is released from jail. Attorney General Jeff Sessions says failing to do so is a hazard to public safety, adding, quote, protecting criminal aliens from federal immigration authorities defies common sense and undermines the rule of law. Enough is enough. Let me translate that for Democrats. Racist, racist, racist. As for sanctuaries, we now go live to the only kind I care about. Stupid pandas. Stupid pandas. Really, they are stupid. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into the panda business because we have panda lovers out there, Tyrus.
Yeah, jerk.
Why can't I have a sanctuary? Why can't I have a sanctuary city?
I don't want a sanctuary city. I like a detention city.
Let's
just set one up. We'll have detention cities. So if you come in here and you're not documented, you're getting wrapped up. I mean, you can eventually just set them up around the sanctuary city.
But not long term. You're saying like a jail.
That's like a regular city, right?
I mean, obviously, once we get you there, and we'll deport you back. We'll fly you and drive you home. We'll put you.
I'm for any kind of path citizenship to everybody as long as there's no cutsies.
But
you can't cut in line.
We're making it a moral issue when it's not. It's the law. Like the shutdown thing. It was like the people who are to blame for the Dreamers situation is their parents. It's not Republicans. It's not Democrats.
But
what do you put them in this situation? And sanctuary cities isn't helping. They're masking and they're causing more division. It's just not sanctuary. If you commit a crime and you're not illegal, everyone should know it. Because you're not following the same rules. You might not even have the knowledge of the same rules of the American citizens. It's not fair.
What do you think, Walter?
I don't know how undocumented immigrants can afford to live in San Francisco and New York. I went to Princeton University, and I can't afford to live in San Francisco. So, number two,
That's true.
It sounds cozy, sanctuary city. It sounds snuggly, like they give you a blanket and build you a fire and make you herbal tea, you know. But who wants to go to Chicago? These cities should be like Gary, Indiana should be a sanctuary.
That's true.
Like, they need workers badly. Montana, where I live, like in the middle of February, we should have a sanctuary month to get everybody there, you know. But San Francisco, they don't need, you know.
That's true. Well, it's just the nice weather, I guess.
Well,
I don't know.
Chicago?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, it's actually the government. It's the government.
This is like a no-brainer for President Trump. I mean, he said it on the campaign trail, and he's now doing it.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. What about you, Kat? I know you're like me in the sense that I mean I'm very pro-immigration. I'm pro. I don't think you have to be so like it's either this or this. You can be pro-immigration, but tweak it, make it better, get rid of some things, improve some things. Something like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we talk about. I hate whenever anyone talks about illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants and criminals in the same sentence if they're all going to be people that are responsible for rising crime rates and things like that, especially when you talk about people like the Dreamers who are adding to the economy, and it would make sense to keep them here and let them continue to add to the economy rather than spend money to deport them.
Do you like the word Dreamers?
Boy, whoever came up with it is a genius.
Because it's like it drives me crazy because I think anybody who comes here or is trying to do something with their lives are dreamers.
Right.
And there are people that come here just temporarily to make money and go back. How is that a dreamer? You know? But again, you're right. It's a great term, and that's helped. Rhetoric wins arguments.
Sure, but I also just think the economic argument for keeping the Dreamers here is pretty solid, and I'm all about economics. I like to have a good economy.
Do you notice these sanctuary cities are cities where they need gardeners and people that they can pay off the books? I mean,
that's an interesting.
Go to Los Angeles. For God's sake.
It's a selfish desire.
It really is.
It's a Pelosi. It's how she keeps her house looking great.
Yeah.
Come here.
All right. Mexico should want chain migration and sanctuary cities to end so families could stay and help make Mexico. Would you condone a human clone? This week, Chinese scientists revealed they cloned 2 healthy monkeys using the same technique that made Dolly the sheep in 1996. This is huge because obviously they're insanely adorable. But also, this method has worked to clone mice, frogs, pigs, and cows, but never primates. In other words, they've broken a barrier that puts them one step closer to human cloning. Which begs the question, do we need another me? Huh? All right. And who would you clone if you could? How about President Trump? He can make all countries great again. Yeah. Or what about Lou Dobbs? He could host all shows on every channel at the same time. Or maybe Hillary Clinton. Wait, stop. On second thought, cloning is a bad idea and should be banned forever. Would you want a clone of yourself out in the world?
No.
No? You'd have somebody to talk to about your problems. You could.
You can talk to yourself about your problems without cloning yourself. Honestly, I don't like this at all.
No.
On the one hand, I've never been having an interaction with a person and thought, gee, I'd sure like 2 of those in my face.
Yes.
But on the other hand, if I could clone.
If you could clone.
Never mind.
No, come on.
I was going to say, if I could clone everybody who thinks I'm funny, then that would be really good for my career.
That's good. Walter, you know what bothers me about this? We were talking, it's kind of like entitled, like Silicon Valley rich kids will be for this because they'll just want to create like a disposable surplus of human organs. And they'll treat it like these people have, like the clones actually have no conscious have no actual experience. That's where this is going in my mind. Am I wrong?
I don't even understand what you just said.
So honest.
I know that Joe Scarborough would rather have 20 of himself so that they could all sing harmony, you know? Cloning is great for narcissists.
Yes.
For people like me who sort of hate themselves, it's a nightmare. You know. But the other thing, like I imagine that man looked up at the sky and for millennia wanted to fly. Mm-hmm. But what human need does cloning answer?
I'm not sure.
Like, I want 27 of myself.
No, this is why my point was, and I'll go to you, Tyrus. My point is that it's people thinking that they can harvest organs. Like, okay, like if you have one car, you have a classic car, right, and it's in great condition, but you have 6 of the same model in your backyard for parts because it's really hard because that car isn't being made anymore. So you have all these other cars that you can take a light from or a fender. That's what cloning is about, harvesting organs in case yours go.
So you just keep a bunch of you chained up in the garage?
Exactly.
Oh, I broke my arm. Number 6. Come here.
Yes. That's what it is.
You know what? I'm excited about this. I want to clone a little me. I can raise me the way I want to with no parents or foster people interfering. I can concentrate on my training.
Yes.
You know, like this, it would be great. It would just be me and, oh, who's it's just me.
It's just me. Yeah, I got to check with me.
No child support.
No
just me.
But your clone's going to have the same problems you do, Tyrus.
No, because I'll fix them.
Brings it up right.
And then who better to take care of me than me when I'm old? He'll know exactly where I'm at. Like,
that's actually really sweet.
You're looking at this the wrong way. You know, divorce and marriage and bad relationships and all that stuff, and kids that don't listen or kids don't think that daddy's not cool. Little me thinks I'm cool. He has to. I'm a reflection of him, and he's a reflection of me, and we're cool.
The little him is still bigger than me. All right, Carly. Pro, con, clones?
I don't think it actually happened. Did you look at those monkeys?
No.
They don't look the same.
Oh, really?
No, their faces are different. So how do we know that they actually did this?
Oh, is this
One
fake
of the
news?
monkeys' faces is longer than the other monkey. I think they just put two monkeys together that look kind of similar, and they said, okay, well, we'll write up a press release, and then now we're talking about it.
Good enough for me.
You know what? I'm glad you're not on my staff, because you would have killed that story. And then I wouldn't have been able to do what I do. I wouldn't be able to do my monkey cloning story, because you would say, no, Greg, those monkeys are clearly not related. One has a longer face.
I don't even think they have the same mothers. They're so different.
Remember when Hillary Clinton collapsed at the 9/11 memorial? And then 15 minutes later, she came out of a building and said hello to a little girl?
Yes. Thank you.
It's already happening.
It's already happening. Thank you, Walter, for that. I had no idea. He explains everything. Okay, coming up. Science says people don't reach adulthood until they're 24. I say take a hike, science. No one likes you anyway. You're a child no more when you hit 24. Scientists in Australia, where most science happens, Walter, have concluded that adulthood really begins at 24. The reason? Societal and biological changes over the past century have pushed the end of adolescence way past age 19. That's because, according to some stats, which I didn't read, people are continuing education longer and delaying marriage and parenthood. And as for the biological component, scientists say we now know the human brain continues to develop well beyond age 20, unless you're a liberal. Am I right? Red meat. Red meat, hack joke. All right. We caught up to a typical 20-year-old for comment. Interesting fact, he's now in the Supreme Court. Walter, what do you make of this? Why is this happening? Why is adulthood later? Is it just because we're living longer?
I don't know, but the same story says it's starting earlier. That said adolescence is now starting at 10, 4 years earlier than it did 150 years ago, which is horrible. You're sitting in 5th grade, you've got a mustache, your voice is deep, you want to party. You feel like Sly Stallone, but they treat you like, Leave It to Beaver. So that's the part that disturbs me, that it's starting earlier.
Wow. Tyrus,
what?
When do you think adulthood really begins?
When I was born. She was like, here. Good luck, kid. I think I find it very difficult that you can just brand something like that, because I would think environment would have a lot to do with that, your socioeconomical, where you're at. I mean, how many parents you had in your house. I mean, if your mom worked 60 hours a week and you had to take care of your brothers and sisters, you're an adult really quick mentally. So I don't really see how they come up with that. Is that for like the perfect family where there's mom and dad and 2.5 kids and the white picket fence? Is that the ones who get to play with their toys till they're 24? Because that's because we had to grow up quick where I was from. So you didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like I have a hard time with hearing that.
Well, you know what's interesting? I was thinking about this, like, that it's not about age. It's about experience. I was watching Dunkirk, and I'm thinking, like, anybody on that beach became an adult, like, right then and there. And then you think about, like, kids growing up that, they had to, they had to work on a farm. They were driving when they were younger because they were on a farm. And then when you got a job, you were selling, like, encyclopedias. Now, you can be 30 and play Xbox for 60 hours a week.
Xbox, you're so old.
Xbox. Yeah. All right, smarty pants. Smarty pants. You're what? Are you an adult?
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
For how long? How many years have you been one? You feel?
I've felt like an adult for a very long time.
Yeah.
I also just kind of wish I knew this, though.
Yeah.
When I was working my ass off in my early 20s and even before that, I could have just been hanging out in a playpen the whole time. If only I'd known that. But
there are websites where you can now.
You sure can. But this doesn't matter because hard work, working, being an adult is the only way you're actually going to have a life. So if you look at this and say, oh, see, I still have time, you're never going to be anybody.
Yeah, that is so true. It's when you wake up and decide. Right, Carly, thoughts?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what you just said.
You know what? Neither did I.
Oh, I'm sure it was really good. I think it has to do a lot with gender, too.
Ooh, interesting.
Women,
That's a cool word.
Age. Yeah? All right. I like that. Women, age, like, 18 for women, 34 for guys. That's when men become actual men. So I'm sorry.
You know, I'm not sure I can disagree with that. Although I do think women on campus are being infantilized. Is that a good word? Did I say it?
Listen, they're having therapy sessions for people who are thinking of going to a Ben Shapiro speech.
Yeah.
Yes.
That explains the safe spaces because their brains are still developing. You're right.
Right. Well,
Assuming
as long as they don't vote until they're 24, I'm fine with it.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, no, that's not. This is just another owl. Who's in charge of this? Someone who didn't leave the home till he's 25, trying to make his mom feel better that he wasn't a late bloomer, that he still lives in the basement. Yeah, it's 24 before he becomes an adult. Yeah, sure, I'm only 2 years behind schedule, Mom.
Yes, that's true.
Seriously.
All right, we got to move on. I just think it's because you don't like the people that fought all the past heroism that we've dealt with, including just creating a Western society, has made it possible for people now to sit around and play video games, Kat.
Yeah, I don't do that.
All right, I know, but I didn't say Xbox.
Great job.
Thanks. All right, still to come, a special Kat Timpf investigation. You won't want to miss that. It's a U.S. News and World Report announcing their best countries' rankings. If we're not number one, we say they're full of number two. Ranking, tanking. This week, U.S. News and World Report, never heard of them, released the results of their annual country survey. The top three, Germany, Canada, and something called Switzerland. The United States ranked 8th. What? We needed to know how the hell that happened. So we sent Kat Timpf to sit down with U.S. News and World Report to learn more.
Hi, Deidre. Thanks for joining me.
Great to be here.
Yeah, so my first question is, the survey says that we are the most powerful, but not best overall. Most powerful and best are basically the same thing, right?
Not quite. Military might is one factor of many that roll up into what makes a country best, according to people all over the world.
Okay. This report says soft power is proving to be more important. What is that? Because that sounds like people who would bring their best pillow fighters to the battlefield, and I would rather have SEAL Team 6.
Well, it's diplomacy, both inside borders and outside borders.
So it's like hiring Tobey Maguire for a role when really it could have Matthew McConaughey. So right here, it says Switzerland is the #1 country. Did you guys just spell United States wrong?
No. It balances the cost of capitalism with human rights, and that's what people care about.
Okay, here, I got you here, though. Canada, Denmark, and Norway beat us in quality of life. But aren't those places cold?
We've hit a pretty cold spell here in the U.S. this year.
Don't seem to be convincing you, so I'm going to use math. Wright brothers plus Matthew McConaughey divided by McDonald's times Thomas Edison to the power of genes equals USA forever. All right, all right, all right. Well, you know what? The other countries can keep their ratings. We will take back our jeans with rivets, and the rest of the world can wear khakis, and the whole rest of the world will look like employees on the floor of a Best Buy. Khakis for everyone. All right, if I can convince you, there's one more thing that we might be able to do. Come on with me. So this is literally a chicken sandwich truck called Yankee Doodle Dandies. If this won't convince the world, nothing will.
There's the lovely tender, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Dandy. So we got the sandwiches. Now I'm sure everyone's mind has changed. Shut the cameras off for a second. Turn them off. Turn them off. I need everyone's mind to be changed, so I'm just say that everyone's mind's been changed.
Whatever you say.
So I'm sure that everyone's mind's been changed, right? Right?
I'll never turn down a French fry.
I think she had no idea what you were doing.